Let me ask you something. What if I told you that you've already proven you can become fluent in a language, without studying a single grammar rule, without ever sitting in a classroom, without ever downloading a flashcard app? You did it once. When you were born, you didn't speak a word. Not one. And within just a few years, you were holding full conversations, cracking jokes, arguing, storytelling, all without a single lesson. So here's the question nobody asks. If you did it once, why is it so hard the second time? The answer isn't your age. It's not your intelligence. It's not that you are bad with languages. The answer is that you've been handed a completely broken method, one built for test scores, not real communication. Think about how most people learn a language. They buy a textbook. They memorize conjugation tables. They repeat vocabulary lists until their eyes glaze over. Then after 6 months of grinding, they fly to the country, open their mouth, and nothing comes out. That's not a failure of effort. That's a failure of method. In this video, I'm going to completely rebuild the way you think about language learning, from the ground up. I'll give you a 5-step system based on how your brain actually acquires language, not how schools think it does. And stay close, because step 4 is the single most effective technique I've ever used, and almost no one talks about it. Most people skip this step entirely. They pick a language because it sounds cool, because their friend is learning it, or because a dating app match speaks it. And I'm not saying those are bad reasons, but they might not be enough to carry you through the hard weeks. Before you commit, there are 3 things worth thinking about. First, reach. Some languages act like master keys. English has over 1 billion speakers globally. Mandarin Chinese has nearly 1 billion native speakers and is the language of the world's 2nd largest economy. Spanish gives you access to over 20 countries across 2 continents. French is spoken across Europe, Africa, and parts of Asia. Arabic is the official language of 22 nations. Hindi connects you to one of the world's fastest-growing populations. The language you choose determines the size of the world that opens up to you. Second, difficulty. Let me give you a realistic map. Starting from English, some languages are close cousins. Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and French share your alphabet and a recognizable grammatical logic. These are genuinely achievable in 12 to 18 months of dedicated study. German and Indonesian sit in the next tier, more demanding, but still manageable. Then you reach languages like Russian, Polish, and Turkish, which require you to rewire certain mental habits. Expect 2 to 3 years of real effort. At the outer edge, you have Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, Arabic, and Georgian. These aren't just different languages, they're different cognitive operating systems. New symbols, new sounds, new sentence logic, new cultural assumptions baked into every phrase. They're absolutely learnable, but they require a completely different level of commitment. Knowing the difficulty of your target language isn't about discouragement. It's about honest planning. If you want to learn Japanese in 6 months, you'll quit. If you plan for 3 years and love the process, you'll get there. Third, and most important, your reason. No tier list, no statistics, no strategy will matter if you don't have a deep, personal reason for learning your language. Maybe it's to speak to your partner's family. Maybe it's to move abroad. Maybe it's to access literature or music or film that you can't get in translation. Maybe it's just because a culture captured your heart. Whatever it is, write it down. Literally. Keep that reason visible. Because language learning isn't a sprint. It's a months-long, sometimes years-long project. And when the initial excitement fades, and it will, your why is the only thing standing between you and quitting. Choose a language that connects to your real life. Then commit. Here's a fundamental truth about how your brain learns language. It doesn't memorize, it recognizes patterns. When you were a child learning your first language, nobody sat you down and explained subject-verb agreement. You just heard the language thousands of times until the patterns became automatic. That same process still works in your adult brain. You just need to recreate the conditions. This is called input-based learning, and it should make up roughly 80% of your total study time. Input means anything you consume: listening, reading, watching. Output, speaking and writing, comes later, and it should make up the remaining 20%. Most traditional learners have this backwards. They're pushed to speak from day one, before they've built any foundation. That's like being asked to write a novel before you've ever read a book. But there's a catch. Not all input is equal. The most powerful concept here is something linguists call comprehensible input, content that is just slightly above your current level of understanding. Think of it like this. If you currently understand 100 of what you hear, you're not being challenged. If you understand 0, you're just hearing noise. The sweet spot is around 70 to 80 comprehension, where you understand most of what's happening, but you're still encountering new patterns that your brain has to work to absorb. So how do you actually do this at each level? As a beginner, lean into content specifically designed for learners. YouTube channels in your target language made for beginners, children's books, graded readers, and apps like Dreaming Spanish if you're learning that language. The goal isn't to understand everything, it's to keep showing up. At the intermediate stage, step up to young adult novels, YouTube documentaries, TV dramas with native language subtitles. When you watch with subtitles in the target language, not your native language, your brain is doing double work, processing sound and written text simultaneously, which creates deeper neural connections. At advanced levels, go fully native. Listen to real podcasts. Read literature. Watch unscripted conversations. Listen to stand-up comedy. Follow political commentary. These are the hardest environments, but they're also where your brain makes the biggest leaps. One underrated strategy: find content you genuinely enjoy. This isn't optional. Boredom is the enemy of language acquisition. If you love football, find football commentary. If you love cooking, watch cooking shows. If you love horror, read horror. Your emotional engagement with the content isn't just pleasant, it literally improves retention. Let's talk about vocabulary, specifically why the way most people learn it is fundamentally broken. The classic method: open a vocabulary app, review 50 words in isolation, repeat until you feel like you've memorized them. Then forget 80 within a week. Here's why it fails. Your brain doesn't store language like a dictionary. Words in your mind aren't organized alphabetically. They're organized in webs of association, emotion, context, sensory memory, story. When you learn a word in isolation, it has no web to attach to. It just floats there until it disappears. The solution is to learn words in context, inside sentences, inside stories, inside real situations. Start with the 1,000 most common words in your target language. These words make up roughly 80 of everyday speech. If you know them cold, not just their definitions but how they behave in sentences, you can survive almost any real conversation. Here's a concrete method that works. Take a batch of those words and ask an AI to write short stories or dialogues using them. The AI will weave your vocabulary into narrative, so instead of comprender equals to understand as a flashcard, you get a story where a character doesn't understand directions and gets comically lost. Context, emotion, repetition, your brain keeps all of that. Learn 20 words per day this way and you'll have your first 1,000 in just 2 months. That's not a minor achievement. That's the point at which real immersion starts to become possible. After that foundation, your vocabulary will start growing organically through input. You'll encounter words repeatedly in podcasts, shows, and books, and each encounter is itself a form of spaced repetition, happening naturally. Flashcard apps like Anki do have a place, but a specific one. Use them for advanced or technical vocabulary, words you've already encountered in real content but keep forgetting because they don't come up often enough. That's the precise niche flashcards serve well. One more technique: the sentence mining method. As you consume content, whenever you encounter an interesting phrase or sentence, save it. Don't just save the word. Save the whole sentence. Review those sentences. Your brain will absorb the word along with its natural habitat, its collocations, its tone, the kind of situations it belongs in. This is how native speakers think, not in isolated words, but in chunks. This is the step nobody talks about. Not in school. Not in most language apps. And it might be the most powerful technique available to any language learner. It's called shadowing, and it works like this. You listen to a native speaker, and you speak along with them, simultaneously, mimicking everything. Not just the words, but the rhythm, the pauses, the rise and fall of their voice, the way they clip certain syllables and stretch others. You are, essentially, puppeteering your own mouth with a native speaker's voice. Here's why it's so effective. Most learners separate listening and speaking into 2 different activities. Shadowing fuses them. Your mouth, your ear, and your brain are all working in sync. You're training your speech muscles to move the way native speakers move them. You're internalizing rhythm at a physical level, not just an intellectual one. Within a few weeks of consistent shadowing, something strange happens. You stop translating. You stop constructing sentences in your head in your native language and then converting them. You start thinking in chunks of the target language. That's the turning point. That's fluency starting. How to practice it? Pick a short audio clip or video, 20 to 30 seconds, at a comfortable but slightly challenging level. Listen to it once through to absorb the meaning. Then play it again and speak along with the speaker. Mirror their exact pace, their exact emphasis, their exact intonation. It will feel awkward at first. You'll stumble. That's the point. Every stumble is your brain making a new neural connection. Do this for 10 minutes a day. Just 10 minutes. The results within 30 days will surprise you. For content, pick things with clear, natural speech, YouTube creators who speak conversationally, podcast hosts, TED Talks in your target language. Avoid heavily formal or scripted speech at first. Natural, relaxed speech is what you want to internalize. Here's where most language learners fail, not from lack of knowledge, but from lack of architecture. They study intensely for 3 weeks, burn out, take a month off, feel guilty, start over. The restart-quit cycle is the real killer of language progress. The solution isn't more willpower. It's better design. Instead of blocking out huge chunks of time that feel like sacrifices, you divide your language learning into 3 types of sessions, and you layer them into your existing life. Block 1. Deep focus time, 60 minutes. This is your anchor session. You need about 1 hour of genuine, uninterrupted engagement with the language. No notifications, no multitasking. During this time, you're actively wrestling with content. Watching a show or documentary with target language subtitles. Reading an article or book chapter. Writing a short journal entry in your target language. Reviewing and expanding your sentence bank. This block is where the deepest learning happens, and it should ideally occur at the time of day when your focus is sharpest, for most people, morning. Block 2. Active review, 15 to 20 minutes. This is a shorter, structured session, perfect for a lunch break or early afternoon. This is where you shadow, review saved phrases and sentences, do any focused grammar work, and consolidate what you absorbed in Block 1. Think of Block 2 as the processing session. You're not adding new material. You're cementing what's already there. Block 3. Passive immersion, variable, 30 minutes to 3 hours. This is where language learning gets genuinely sustainable, because this block runs alongside things you're already doing. Commuting. Listen to a podcast in your target language. Cooking. Same. Exercising. Same. Getting ready in the morning. Same. You're not laser-focused. Your brain is absorbing the language passively, building familiarity with its sounds, its rhythms, its cadence. The more hours of passive exposure you can accumulate, the faster active understanding develops. And here's the most surprising part. Research on sleep and memory consolidation suggests that listening to language content right before bed may be one of the highest leverage things you can do. During sleep, your brain replays and reinforces what it absorbed during the day. Falling asleep to a podcast in your target language, even if you barely understand it, may accelerate retention in ways we are only beginning to understand. So what does a full day look like? Wake up, do your 15-minute review. Go through your day. Passive audio during your commute or workout. Then in the evening, 1 hour of deep focus immersion. Right before sleep, 20 minutes of target language audio. That's it. You haven't sacrificed your life. You haven't quit Netflix. You've just layered language into what you were already doing. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. Fluency isn't a gift. It's not talent. It's not the result of being born in the right country or having the right brain. It's the result of consistent, intelligent exposure, over time. Your brain already knows how to learn a language. You proved that when you were 3 years old. All you need to do is stop fighting against it with broken methods, and start working with it. Choose your language with intention. Flood your brain with the right input. Learn vocabulary in context, not in isolation. Shadow native speakers until their rhythm becomes yours. And build a daily architecture that doesn't require willpower, just habit. 6 months from now, you could be watching your first film without subtitles. A year from now, you could be having your first real conversation. 2 years from now, you could be dreaming in another language. It starts today. If this video helped you, hit like and drop a comment. Tell me which language you're going after and why. I'll see you in the next one.